Jacob Cordero here, Top Geek, SmokingMeatGeeks.com. We're out here in central Arizona, about 5,000 feet. Most people think that Arizona is mostly desert, but as you can see behind me, we have very nice, luscious green areas where we can get out and experience the nice, cool weather. So what we've got here is the Flame Boss 500, and the Flame Boss 500 comes in a kit for $349, where you get the blower controller as well as the temperature monitor. So what we want to do is really kind of find out for the price point, is it worth it? Does it do what it says it's going to do? And show you right now exactly what comes in the box and what you can expect out of this device. So let's go ahead and we're just going to jump into it real quick. And again, Flame Boss 500 here. So when you unbox it, you can see that it comes with your temperature control here. And with this temperature control, you've got quite a few ports that you have access to. We're looking right here at the power port. Here's where you're gonna hook up that blower fan. This is the ambient temperature of the grill so that you can monitor exactly what the temperature is inside of your pit at all times. And then you have 3 ports that you're gonna use for your meat probes, okay? So in the box, the first thing you're gonna see with that temperature monitor is the blower. So that's the blower attachment. This is the universal one, and basically the only difference between the universal one and the one designed for like the Komodo or the egg style grills is that the Komodo one's gonna come with the windows that you're gonna basically slide this into, and it'll just slide right into that window. With this one though, for the universal one, you're gonna get a couple of different attachments. So like this could be for like an ugly drum smoker or a barrel smoker. And then you have another one here for like, let's say your Weber grills or your Smoky Mountain. So, there's probably a good, 15 or 20 different types of smokers that this will hook up to with just these universal attachment pieces that come in here with that. So that's all the universal pieces that you're gonna get. And again, if you purchase the Komodo kit, that's essentially what you're getting there. And these you can purchase separately for $10. So that's that. In here we also have a wire manager to kind of keep those cables in order. And it comes with, this is gonna be your meat probe. And then this other probe here is gonna be for the ambient temperature monitoring of the grill. So essentially one thing to note right off the bat is that you're essentially like, you can run 3 meat probes at the same time without a Y adapter, but they're not giving it to you here as part of that. So you do get one meat probe, and essentially they do say that they are kind of universal. They're basically like the same as like a headphone plug. And so it's likely that if you do have other temperature probes, that they may work in conjunction with this system. And then, of course, the power source here that you can run that with. So that's pretty much everything that you're going to get in the box for the $349. And in just a little bit, or in this video series actually, we'll be testing it out, smoking something, hooking it up to probably a ugly drum smoker or a pit barrel is what we're likely going to be using to test this bad boy out. And again, see if it's exactly worth the money. And it is definitely been rated and touted as one of the #1 controller devices. It does have a lot of smart features that basically will detect whether, let's say, you open the lid and it's not going to kick on your fan because it realizes that like an intense drop in temperature. And it also has a couple of different smart technologies programmed into the firmware that will allow you to understand, or allow it to understand, how well it needs to cut the oxygen off or allow more oxygen, or whether it needs to kick the fan on. And so that's really going to be the key to figuring out if this thing is worth the $349, to figure out how well and how smart it actually is in doing those things. So with this, you can connect directly through Wi-Fi anywhere in the world. Or you can also do a basic local router connect, where even if you don't have internet, you're going to be able to connect directly to your router, and you just won't have the features of like logging into your account or the log history if you do it without Wi-Fi. It also has a third option where you can connect with your phone directly to the device wirelessly. So you know it works even if you don't have access to Wi-Fi. You can still control the fan, and you can still talk to your device. So what I have sitting here is the FlameBoss 400. This thing is pretty much, this is one of their newer models, including the 500, of course, their newest model. But the 400 is basically the standalone blower that will hook up to the application where you can actually control and monitor everything on the blower fan right from your phone. So if we look in here, we're gonna pretty much see, and I'm gonna scoot this aside just so that we can see the separate options here that we got. So we've got a fan in there that's a little different from the fan that comes in that kit. But essentially the idea is it does all the same things, and it has all the ports on the fan itself to hook up to, like the power supply and that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and just unwrap this here, and I'll show you your ports here. Okay, and then in the box will be the assembly adapters for the universal stuff that you saw in the FlameBoss 500, and we're also going to have our two probes for our pit temperature and our meat temperature that we'll have in there. So that's what you get for the FlameBoss 400, which is going for $219 right now by itself. So if you're just looking for a standalone to hook up to a smoker to control the temperature, that's the one that you might be interested in purchasing. So that's going to be it for now for the unboxing. And like I said, we want to put this thing to the test, and we want to make sure that, again, we're testing out how accurate the temperature probes are, how well and how smart that fan is cutting off or letting in oxygen to keep us at a consistent, whether it's 225, 275, to make sure that it's doing in fact what you're looking for. All right, we're back from middle of the forest area to right into Phoenix, Arizona, back into the city, where today it's a nice chilled 100 degrees with what feels like about 100% humidity. So nonetheless, we want to continue working through this review. Make sure that you see how the FlameBoss 500 operates. We're going to be hooking it up to the barrel smoker because I already have a perfect size hole drilled out to attach it to, which I'll show you in just a second. And we'll be throwing on some chicken on there and possibly even some steak here in just a bit. So I want to just open up and look at our assembly parts. We're going to be assembling this to a, like I said, a barrel smoker. So we don't need to use this device, which is more for your Smoky Mountains, your Weber grills. We'll just be threading this right into the hole that I drilled into the smoker. And so you see that you've got this little set of parts here where all we're going to really need on this one is going to be our attachments here. We're going to put that right through the hole, and then this screws right onto that. Now what you're going to find is that there's not a lot of instructions when it comes to how to assemble this to various smokers, and I feel mostly that's because there's 100 different possible options that like you could face when trying to install this on a smoker or whatever it is, offset, or even like so many different homemade custom smokers that are out there. So you won't find a lot of detailed instructions on how to get this thing assembled. They pretty much leave you to kind of figure that part out. But again, the nice part about it is that you can practically hook it up to almost any smoker. You just might have to do a little bit of modification. So again, the 500 that we got is the universal one. So it comes with these different options here. If you get the one that is from the website, if you select the one that's designed for the Komodo smoker, then essentially you get a smaller fan unit because it doesn't require as much CFMs to power and to control the units on those. And then you'll also get these sliding panels that'll go and slide right in those doors that you have at the bottom of those Komodo and egg smokers. But for this one, again, we have two different options for universal, and then we can like make stuff up from there if we actually had to. But for this right now, like I said, I already have my drum smoker here, and I'll show you. You can see the hole that we already have in there for that one. So we're just going to go ahead and apply this one in here. So a couple of things that I did not mention before. You'll notice that the Flame Boss 500 obviously has a power cord. You're going to need that power cord. It does not have its own battery. So if you're trying to use it like outdoors camping or something of that nature, you're going to find that you're going to need to get like some kind of external battery pack. And I do believe that they also sell a battery pack on the website. So you can take a look for that. And they say that the battery pack will last up to about 10 to 12 hours. So if you are outdoors, you would definitely need to pick that up. Otherwise, you're going to be plugged in here through that port that goes right into the Flame Boss. So I think let's go ahead and just jump in and just show you quickly how this is going to install. Again, the hardest part when you're connecting this thing to something that doesn't already have some kind of cutout for it is actually drilling the right size hole for it so that you can get this to hook up. So that's going to be, directly, that's going to connect directly in here once we have it on there. So let's go ahead and take a look at how that looks. All right, so we're back. We're going to use the pit barrel smoker to attach the universal attachment to. And the pit barrel smoker naturally keeps temperature pretty well. But since I already have the hole drilled in here, that's the perfect size for this universal fitting, we're just going to go ahead and go with the pit barrel smoker for this test. So here's the hole that I already have pre-drilled. That's the one thing that's nice about this universal kit is you can pretty much drill a hole into most of the smokers that you have, even if it doesn't, even if it's not designed to fit like, the other attachment that I showed you earlier for like the Weber, Smoky Mountain, or if you don't have like a Komodo egg grill. So that's what really makes this nice. But you do want to make sure when you drill the hole that you're not drilling it in too big. So it's better to just use a smaller, bit and just keep going up a step in the bit size till you get it to the perfect fit so that you don't accidentally drill a hole that's too big. So again, these are the two pieces. Essentially, we're just going to put the thread through here like so. And then on this side, we're just going to attach the fitting here. So on the inside, it just kind of looks like this. And we can just get this hand tight. We don't need to get a wrench out or anything like that. Just as long as it's a snug, nice, tight fit. Okay. And then from there, once we get that set in, we can go ahead and just grab the Flame Boss 500 piece. Actually, this is the blower unit. And then there's a lip right here where we attach the lip up there, and it just kind of sits just like so, and then that's it. We're ready to go. Okay, so we're here. We're going to take you through the quick setup here that comes with it. So it has you scan the QR code here to get started. It basically takes you over to the website, okay, and it has you download the Flame Boss app. And this Flame Boss app is going to allow us to communicate here with the controller device that came with the 500 kit. Okay, so I'm going ahead and logging in to the App Store, and we're going to download the app. So as we download the app, we'll just go ahead and pan you over here and show you the device that comes with it. So we have an option with the Flame Boss 500 kit where this controller is external versus on the Flame Boss 400, where essentially all these settings are built directly into the device itself, which is just essentially the blower fan with the kit installed. And I can show you actually the 400 right here, that you can see the options to plug in the pit and the meat probe are built into this device, whereas the 500 comes with this particular controller externally. So when you look at, I'm showing you here the 500 fan that comes with it does not have those same ports or options on the fan itself. So that's the main difference between the 400 and the 500. And so as we look at the 500, we're going to see that we have options to basically control a lot of the different settings and alarms and different things like that right from this device, or we can control it from the mobile app as well. So that's pretty much what you have as far as the difference in the two. So now I've downloaded the application, and now it's going to require me to set up an account to have access to all the controls and the graphs and everything that come with being able to read the fan itself. Okay, so we've got the Flame Boss plugged in. We pretty much already got the smoker going. It's been going for about 30 minutes. I let the temperature stabilize before we actually hooked it up to the Flame Boss. So I've got it set right now for 280, and I'll just show you real quick here. You can see there that the clip is connected right there to the grate. That's the ambient probe temperature. I've also got another probe in there hooked up to another device just to double check the accuracy of that. So we can look over here and you'll see that the Flame Boss is set up, and I'll pull out the app. The Flame Boss is currently reading 268 or 258, and here I'll show you on the app, which shows the exact same thing. And so you can see that I've set it at 280. Okay, yeah, can you see that? There you go. So I've set it at 280, and it's basically regulating by continuing to turn the fan on and off at a regulated rate, so that it doesn't want to overshoot the temperature by just going 100%. You know, to get it up to temperature, it slowly wants to turn the fan on and kick on the power of the fan at a slower rate to make sure, again, that it's not causing the coals to become too ignited, causing it to shoot way over the 280 degree temperature. So right now, again, we'll see how well it can bring it up to that 280 that I want it at. And again, this is the pit barrel that we're using. So this is not necessarily a true smoker. This is more designed for a convection style cook. So it already wants to run hotter than your normal 225, 250. This thing likes to sit at around 275, 280. That way you can, get the nice fast cooks on like the briskets and those kinds of things. So we'll check back here in a few moments and see how well we're able to reach the 280 degree rate with the fan regulator hooked up to it. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes and we're back, and the temperature is right at around that 280. So the fan pretty much kicked on anywhere between 0 to 40. Within like 5 minutes, it dropped from, the fan percentage was, 10%. Then it went up to like 40. Then it went back to 0. And then it went to like 15%. So it continued to do what it needed to do to make sure that it kind of just tested the waters to make sure that it wasn't giving it too much oxygen, and then killed the fan and kind of just, so that's part of that smart technology that you'll see with the good fan controllers, that they don't just pretty much kick on to 100 and then, try to adjust once the temperature is way beyond the set mark for the thermostat. So again, we'll check back here in just a bit and see how well, we're maintaining that 280 temperature range. Okay, so what we're doing now is just opening the lid to give it a test after about an hour that it's been in here to see what actually happens when we take the lid off. So I just opened the lid to actually stick in that temp probe into that chicken breast or the chicken leg there. So I have that to see when that chicken's going to actually be done. I'm measuring that on the Fireboard device, but more importantly, what we want to see is how well this Flame Boss actually understands that we took off the lid and that it doesn't need to do as much to get that pit back to temperature. So we're going to monitor on the app from inside to see how well it gets it back up to that 280 degrees now that we've taken out that lid. Okay, so we see that we get a notification right away that tells us, hey, it looks like you've opened the pit, and we're temporarily going to disable the controller. Let's go back into the app, see where we're at. Okay, so it pretty much, we're already right where we wanted to be. You can see all the activity from the time that we opened the lid, and how the fan pretty much regulated it right away. So between the time that I've opened the lid and now, it's been about 3 minutes. So from the time that it took me to come inside and get the camera set up, it's already back to more or less where we want it to be. And you can still see that the fan is still trying to kind of figure itself out there. But yeah, for the most part, that's a good win. Okay, it's about 20 minutes later, and we're still pretty much right where we want to be. Fan is still kind of working as it should be. And so we're going to go ahead and pull off the chicken and we're going to put on a couple of T-bone steaks here. So I've had this chicken on for about an hour and 40 minutes or so. Okay, so we're back and we're done with our cook. Let's get this in here. And I basically want to show you that we kept the temperature fairly consistent the entire cooking process. So you can see that that red line is our ambient temperature of the pit. And for the most part, all of that stayed right exactly where we wanted it, within about 4 or 5 degrees of our 280 mark. So the green area there, you can see over the course of the 3 hours that the fan was pretty much working constantly, whether it being, you know, at anywhere from 0 to like about 40%, and kept us a consistent temperature to get everything done. As far as you know, does the Flame Boss 500 stand up to, you know, the price point? That's going to be completely up to you. But when we do stack up our reviews on the best pit control temperature device, this is definitely going to make our top 5. It's likely going to end up in the top 2 spots. So, you know, it just comes down, really, it just comes down to like where your price point is. Again, the kit itself here comes with the controller, the external controller that you have here, as well as the fan. And if you wanted, and that kit runs $349. So if you feel like you really kind of want something like this, but don't want to spend the $349, you can opt for the Flame Boss 400, which basically has the controller built into the fan. So you won't actually have any controls like this that you can, you know, plug multiple. You'll be able to plug one meat probe into the Flame Boss 400, while this one you can plug in 3 probes without using any kind of a splitter. And of course, you won't have all the controls to be able to change the temperature and everything on the device itself, but you can control everything from the mobile app. So, you know, the Flame Boss 400 runs at $219. So you can definitely look at picking that up. A couple of last minute thoughts on this. One of the things, when I use the pit barrel smoker here, I did have to plug the vent entirely closed. I just used basically a piece of foil and just clogged the vent on that closed, and that allowed us to basically allow the Flame Boss to do all the work to regulate how much oxygen was coming in, and also how much it was going to, you know, how much oxygen it was going to feed it. So again, this is a variable speed motor, so it's not, you know, either on or off. The way that it actually does work, and it's able to keep the temperature the way it does, is through that variable speed process and the smart technology that they've incorporated into that, to make sure that they can kind of understand and learn how to basically manipulate the oxygen flow to where it's not overshooting completely or completely, you know, letting the temperature fall too low. So all in all, impressed, especially with the pit barrel smoker. It's very touchy in the way that the temperature fluctuates as the coals heat up. So I was very surprised to see that it was able to keep that temperature within about 4 or 5 degrees of where I had it set at. So aside from that, the Flame Boss 500 Universal, this one ends up being like a 25 CFM fan. CFM fan. So this one's going to be probably the most powerful that I've seen when stacking it up to some of the others out there. Now, if you get the option to go with the Komodo style for the Flame Boss 500, you'll have 2 choices. Either you'll have the Komodo or the Universal. The Komodo is it's under like 6 CFMs. So that one is just, you know, set up because the Komodos work pretty well and they don't require a whole lot of oxygen to you know, manipulate the pit temperature on those. So this also, one other thing to note is it's not waterproof. So you don't want to leave it out, you know, if you got some kind of weather. But it does have a pretty cool mount that attaches on there, and that mount actually has like screw holes and stuff. So if you actually wanted to mount it
and it also has a magnet that you can see in there. So there's quite a few options when it comes to how you want to set this controller up. So I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Nope, I think that's pretty much it. That completes our review. And again, it comes down to really where your price point is and where you're comfortable. But the Flame Boss 500 does do what it says it will do, and it does it in a way that is superior to a lot of the other pit control devices out there. So definitely would recommend it. Again, $349 for this model here, the Flame Boss 500, which comes in either the universal or the Komodo style. And then the Flame Boss 400, again, you can get the Komodo style as well on that one, and that one's going to run you the $219 price point.